All right, sixth grade. So last time you all came to class, you watched the etching clay video, and etching clay is all about just transferring your design onto your clay and then scratching or etching that design within the surface. So essentially what you did is you created a whole bunch of little tiny dots on your pencil line for your design, and then once you poked the dots, when you lifted up the paper, you were able to connect the dots and trace your design directly onto your clay. Today what we have to do is we've got to think about three-dimensional elements within your clay animal mirror. Okay, so anything that sticks into the surface of the actual mirror itself or off the frame is going to be something that becomes three-dimensional. Okay, so with this design right here, the elephant goes into the mirror and off the mirror. This is going to be something that's cut out of a separate piece of clay that becomes 3D. Also, some of these elements, like even some of the flowers or whatever in the background, since those kind of cut into the mirror itself, those can become 3D. Also this little tree branch and possibly even the monkey if this artist decides to do that. Okay, so all of those things, because they go off the frame itself, are going to be have to be cut out of a different piece of clay. Now here's what makes things a little bit complicated. With your 3D elements, okay, you have a couple options for hacking stuff out of clay. First things first, let's talk about types of clay that we have. We have the clay for the frame itself. You probably etched some of your design into that. You also have what I call personal clay. That's this clay that's in the center of your clay animal mirror. This is kind of like a bonus piece of clay that each kid gets just from me rolling it out and cutting it out. So the first thing you're going to decide is, are you going to use personal clay for some of your objects, or are you going to be using something that's called community clay? Okay, so community clay is basically leftover pieces that I rolled out. So after I cut out things that looked like this out of a large slab of clay. A slab is basically like a flat pancake, huge flat pancake of clay. These were the leftover pieces, and this is what I'm calling community clay. This does not belong to anybody. This belongs to the community itself, okay, meaning students in the class. So if you are using community clay, I'm going to show you how to use it, but I expect that you use it wisely and respectfully, just so that everybody else can use it, so that I don't have to roll out a million pieces of this stuff, okay? So something that looks like this, odd, larger pieces, is community clay, and anybody can take from it as long as you use it wisely, okay? So let's kind of figure out where we're at here. So I have my personal clay here. I have my design. I've already poked some stuff in here from last time. I've already etched it on. And I've got some other elements that are going to be three-dimensional, okay? So the elephant is one of them. Right now, since I've already etched all of my stuff onto my clay, what I need to do is start cutting out on the lines themselves anything that's popping away from the surface of my clay animal mirror, okay? So this elephant would be something that I'm gonna need to cut out of a separate piece of clay because it goes into the surface of the mirror and off the mirror. Also, probably some of my, like I said earlier, my flowers and things like that. Okay, so I'm cutting out right on the line. I'm not doing the best job in the world just because I don't want to waste your time. Okay, and then some of these flowers themselves, okay, will probably become 3D as well. And this artist is going to decide what she wants to do with that. Okay, so I'm cutting this out on the line, this little flower guy. And I'm just going to do a couple just because, again, I don't want to waste your time. So I'm cutting this flower out on the line, okay? And so this is what I have. So I have some 3D elements that I'm starting with, some things that I need to make three-dimensional. So first things first, will the elephant fit on the personal clay? No, it will not. So this I'm going to set aside, and we're going to do that on community clay a little bit later on. Can this fit on personal clay? Why, yes, it can. In fact, if I smush it all the way over onto the side, I can actually fit other small flowers in the space, all right? So use your personal clay, but definitely make sure that you are conserving it so that you could trace other things like this, other flowers on there later on, okay? So first things first, you're gonna take your needle tool, and what I would like for you all to do is, the first thing you're gonna do is press it on here. And I would cut it out first, and then you can kind of etch your design work in there, okay? So first things first, to cut something out, what you have to do is you have to take your needle tool, be very careful with this. You're gonna hold this basically vertically, perpendicular to the surface, and I'm gonna press all the way down to the tray itself, okay, to cut this out. So I'm applying some pressure here, and you'll notice I'm making kind of a deep cut. And then I'll show you how to poke the lines again, how to etch it a little bit, la la la. And I'll also show you how to pop it out like fruit roll up, because that's pretty cool. Okay, so right now I have a pretty deep cut. It goes all the way to the bottom of my clay. And in just a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and poke that out. All right, so now what I have to do is I'm gonna etch some of the detail line, keyword being some. And again, when you're etching stuff, just remember to keep your pokes with your needle tool, keep them as shallow as possible, because like I have said a million times over, clay is just mud that comes out of the earth. So you want to make sure that as it dries that you're making it as structurally sound as possible. You don't want me to pick up your clay before I go to load it in the kiln and have it crumble and break, which it does. That does happen, and kids are always upset with me when that does happen. So keep your pokes as shallow into the surface as possible. Keep them close together so that you can successfully connect the dots, okay? So at this point in time, I've got something that is cut, something that is poked, and at this point in time, this is really cool. Check this out. So at this point in time, if you are a fruit roll-up eater, you're gonna know exactly what I'm talking about here. See how this can very easily pull apart? Okay, not like that. It can pull apart and very easily, and then I've got the rest of this to work with. And then with this, I can very, very carefully peel it off. A lot of kids are freaking out because they're like, what if the paper sticks to my clay? And the answer is, well, when you go to trace your lines, like I'm about to in just a second, when you go to kind of connect the dots for these, it's gonna pull off automatically, and if not, it'll burn off at, you know, like almost 2,000 degrees. So right now all I'm doing is connecting the dots like before, la la la, okay, and making this look flower-like, all right? So again, keeping it mostly to the surface and things like that. Now let's go ahead and talk about the elephant real fast, okay? So this elephant needs to be on community clay, okay? So this is clay that belongs to the community. Other kids are gonna be using this, so I probably shouldn't take the elephant and put it like smack dab in the center of this piece when other kids can trace smaller things here. So I want to put it as close to the edge as possible, okay? So something that looks like this. That way all of the rest of this is conserved for other people, okay? So here's what I need to do. First things first, this is always going to be on cardboard. I'm going to use the needle tool. I'm going to go ahead and press all the way to the bottom, make a really deep cut because I need to cut this out so I can take it back to my seat and work on it. All right, and then from there, I'm gonna do like my little poke-in stuff, but since this is on community clay, it's probably my best bet to pop this out immediately. Okay, take it back to my seat, all right, and then work with it on an additional tray. Okay, so I will have like other trays for kids to work on, and then you can poke, and then once all your poking-'s done, peel it up, scratch it in the surface. Okay, and then you should be able to attach it on, which is a separate video because we don't have time for that right now. Okay, so this is basically how you hack out 3D elements. Okay, anything that goes into the center of your frame, off the frame itself, whether you use community clay for things that are bigger or your personal clay. All right, ball is in your court, provided that you don't waste my stuff or waste anybody else's stuff. Okay, so good luck.